Welcome to DeMystified with Osayi Omokaro. We're taking basic life concepts, breaking them down to aid actions. Hi, you're welcome to our first episode of our series, DeMystified. My name is Osayi Omokaro, and I'm going to go right on. This episode will be dealing with the concept of work. I chose to deliberately use that word, work, as opposed to employment, job, earn your living, career, and all of that. I deliberately want to use the word work because in all of this put together, what you do inside of them is that you're actually working. So I want to take you from this perspective. When we hear the word work, don't always think about someone having to sign a deal with you. That is what Wikipedia called an employment, an agreement between two parties when the other one work and get paid at the end of a certain period. But I want us to see it from the perspective of my personal definition. I define work as the engagement of your time, your energy, and intellect to create a value that can be exchanged for other value. And in most cases, because money is the medium of exchange, your values can be exchanged for money. That's a deal. That's our definition for what we're going to be dealing on. And I want to say this. If you happen to be among those that have been fired or have been displaced by reason of the lockdown, the global pandemic that have shaken the earth, I welcome you on board. I say congratulations, because by experience, I've come to realize that it's actually an opportunity to get fired. I've never really been fired, but I've had the opportunity to fire myself at some point in time. And looking back, I realize I did the right thing. If you are one of those that got fired, that got displaced, that got right-sized by reason of the shutdown, by reason of the global pandemic, I want to share just 3 things with you that can help you jumpstart your work immediately. And these 3 things only require that you take a look at yourself. Stop wailing, stop regretting, stop feeling bad for what has happened. If you understand the concept of work, you will realize that it's really an opportunity to get displaced from where has kept you in bondage. I'm not one of those that says that employment is the bribe you take to sacrifice your own dream. I don't believe that's true. Les Brown calls the job as the journey of the broke. Some call it just over broke. But I think every one of us is and can be employed at all times. But there's a mindset I want to send through this episode tagged demystifying work. For instance, I say I've never worked for anybody in my life. And I know some of you watching, we've both worked at some employment. So you say, wow, why is this guy lying to the public? Yes, but I'm sure as I continue to talk, for those of you who have ever worked with me in some employment, you will realize where I'm talking from. Everywhere I have ever worked, I have always worked for myself. Irrespective of who is signing my paycheck, I have always worked with a mindset of turning my employment to apprenticeship with salary. That's what I want us to get from this demystification that we are giving to work. When you get employed, work for yourself. Work to learn. Work to learn, so that in a situation where that employment no longer exists, the knowledge sticks, and with that knowledge you can create employment for yourself and for others. If you have ever worked in the financial services industry, you should be able to begin to consult for small businesses concerning their finances. You know, wherever you have worked, I had worked in the bank for some time. Until date, I still do micro lending. It generates some money for me. I don't need anybody to pay me for that. I do micro lending and I earn from it. I worked at some point in time with a firm. I used to work with, not work for, because I work for myself. I could work with any organization, but I work for myself. I worked with a telecommunication company. We were actually selling data, internet services. Immediately I left there, I could do the same thing for other clients and keep earning money. Why? Because while I was working with a disposition of learning. I wasn't focused on what I was earning. I was focusing on what I was learning, because what I learned, I can deploy afterward, wherever. That's the mindset I want to send to us. Work to learn. When you learn, your earning capacity keeps increasing. So I want to share just 3 concepts with us. And all of these concepts requires that you take a deeper look at yourself. First, in that job, in that place of employment, what exactly were your job roles? What were you doing? If you give your roles the best of attention, you would have learned some skills while doing that work. You may have been fired, you may have been displaced. Those skills remain with you. How else can you deploy those skills? Think deeply, and you can start just tomorrow morning. Then secondly, there are natural giftings, there are natural talents that you have, just like I enjoy talking. Even while I worked in the bank, I remember when people come on my queue to get paid. If you ever raise any question concerning any of our products, I don't just only explain, I start to teach. So I was a teacher. I'm a natural teacher. So when I left the bank, I'm employing that natural gift of teaching. But with the experience I got working in the corporate environment, I now teach business. I teach people how to succeed in business. I teach people how to succeed with their life. There are natural skills you have. Is it singing? Is it a natural smile? Those things that may not have made sense while you were earning salaries. It's high time you give attention to them. What can those natural skills do for you today? Take a look at them. You can deploy them. Then the third thing I want you to look at is your time. Like I started in my definition of work, the deployment of your time, your energy, and your intellect to create values that can be exchanged for other values. That's my definition of work. Now, what is your time doing? You have millions of seconds credited to you every year. So when we scream in 2020, it's my year of greatness, it's my year of driving, it's my year of the supernatural, it's my year of this, it's my year of that, it's my year of that. You know why we were all screaming? We just got credited millions and millions of seconds. That screaming, that confession is just the beginning of greatness. What you begin to do with that time afterward determines how the year will end. Oh, I have the time where I worked in the past. I really never give it all it took, so I really didn't live there with enough skills that I can deploy now. Oh, taking a look at what I do naturally, there is no financial value to it and all of that. So what then can I do with my time? It's never too late to learn a new skill. It's never too late to learn a new trade. It's never too late to deploy that time reading, watching YouTube channels like this and many others. Decide what you want to do with your life and begin to train yourself, investing the time that you have to begin to build the reality of the future that you see. Time is one thing that we all have equally. The rich don't have 24 hours and 5 seconds, while the poor have just 24 hours. We all have it equally. And what we do with it determines how we end. I trust that you will take some steps. I even know that work doesn't have to be based on employment. And when you are employed, work as unto God and work
for yourself. Work to learn, knowing that learning enhances your capacity. And as a parting word, I'll tell you, never accept an employment that doesn't tally with the core of your value and your life. I have decided to be a teacher all my life, and I have drilled that down to teaching business and success strategies. So you can't give me a job that will not add up to how I'm able to do this. So when you take a decision on where you are facing in life and what you're doing with your life, seek for jobs that will keep adding value to you in that path that you've chosen for yourself. It becomes easier to learn while you work, knowing that the values you are getting from where you're working is building you up in line with what you have decided to do with your life. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. If you are here to subscribe, don't just enjoy this channel alone. Subscribe, tap the bell button so you can always get notified when we release new broadcasts. And do your friends a favor. Share this link. Let many other people subscribe so they can learn and get blessed. I promise you they're going to tell you thank you. I love you. Follow us on our social media channel at Treskaro. Those are social media handles. Thank you very much.